I am a 22-year-old chef. Even though I call myself a chef, the culinary world is profound. I am still a beginner, learning as an apprentice in the restaurant where I work. Still, my lifelong dream is to become skilled and make pasta on my own someday. It all started when the owner of a local diner approached me when I was a high school dropout looking for a job. Being raised in a single-parent household, I often had dinner at that diner when my father came home late. So the taste of their pasta holds a lot of memories for me, and it's something precious that I don't want to disappear. However, since the owner doesn't have a successor, I am undergoing daily training to ensure that the taste doesn't disappear. One day, as I finished delivering a pizza and parked my bicycle in front of the restaurant, I heard a voice saying,
"Hey, is that Noah?"
Immediately, I turned around. Standing there was a person with a face that seemed familiar yet unfamiliar. Certainly, they called out my name, so I knew they were acquaintances, but I struggled to remember who they were. Then, the person said,
"Hey, did you forget? It's Oliver, your middle school classmate."
Upon hearing that, I remembered. "Oh, Oliver, I couldn't recognize you because you've grown up." I think it's understandable that I said that because Oliver had changed a lot since middle school. Oliver standing here now was tall, wearing a sharp suit, giving off an unmistakable elite corporate employee vibe. However, Oliver from middle school had the complete opposite impression. He was petite and quiet, not standing out much in class. I remember talking to him often back then because we lived close to each other, but we hadn't met at all since graduation. Rumors were swirling that he had enrolled in a highly prestigious high school and university, but I never imagined he would change this much.
"What are you doing in a place like this?"
Oliver asked, and I quickly answered, "Oh, I'm working at this diner." He chuckled and said,
"Huh, working? In this rundown diner?"
Honestly, his attitude was unpleasant. "Well, yeah, you used to come here often too." I reminded him, recalling that we used to come here together when we were in middle school because our parents were often late. Then Oliver said,
"That's in the past, you know. I forgot about that. I'm still surprised, Noah, that you're eating at this shabby place in this small town."
"What?" I couldn't understand at all what Oliver intended by saying such things, but I realized that he had no intention of being friendly with me. Oliver wasn't the kind of person to say such things. What had changed him? More than that, I couldn't forgive him for insulting this diner. Saying such things in front of the diner is disrupting business. "If you can only say things like that, would you mind leaving?" I said. In response, Oliver said,
"Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to anger you. I just felt sorry for how tough it must be for poor people. Well then, see you."
Oliver left, leaving behind those repugnant words until the end. Indeed, the exterior of this diner is not impressive. It's a pretty old building, as we've been using the same one that the owner's father opened. However, even though it may not look appealing, Oliver should know that it's a restaurant with great taste. I felt genuinely sad to see a friend I hadn't seen in a long time behaving so unpleasantly. But if they were only going to make such snide remarks, I honestly didn't want to see them again. However, just a few days later, Oliver appeared in front of me once again. Wait, Oliver. It was none other than Oliver who entered the diner just before closing time. Once again, he was dressed impeccably in a suit, looking like a completely different person.
"Hey, I thought I'd have some pasta after such a long time,"
he said. With no choice but to seat him, I took his order and brought the pasta to Oliver's table. He ate it and said,
"It's a nostalgic taste."
Well, he's not making any snide remarks today. Maybe he was in a bad mood when we last met, and today's visit is some sort of apology. I felt a bit happy and replied, "Yeah, right." As he was leaving, I called out to Oliver, "If you'd like, come by again. You might be used to eating expensive stuff all the time and have refined palate, but I believe we have our own charm here."
"Oh, thank you,"
Oliver said, and then he extended an invitation to me.
"Well, we're actually planning to have a middle school reunion next month. Would you like to come, Noah? I've written down the location and time for you."
Ever since graduating from middle school, I had been busy with culinary training and hadn't taken much time to hang out with friends. So the news of being able to meet my middle school classmates again after a long time was certainly a pleasant surprise. Seriously, I'll definitely go. Thank you. I immediately informed the owner and arranged to have the day off for the reunion. It had been so long since I had a meal with friends. Unexpectedly filled with excitement, I headed to the designated meeting place on the promised day. But when I arrived in front of the restaurant, I felt a twinge of regret. It was because the designated place was a high-end restaurant. I never imagined it would be such an upscale venue, so I had come wearing a casual hoodie and jeans. Even though I wasn't particularly interested in fashion, I understood that I should have dressed a bit more formally for a place like this. Should I go back and change first? But it's almost the meeting time. As I pondered over such thoughts in my head, I heard a voice saying,
Hey, Noah.
I turned to the direction of the voice, and there was Oliver. Oh, hey, Oliver.
Thanks for coming.
Oliver said, and hearing that, I couldn't go back to change at this point. However, Oliver and the classmates who came along were all wearing jackets and dresses, and I was the only one who stood out in such casual attire.
Sorry, I forgot to inform you about the dress code.
Oliver apologized, and I thought I had no choice but to turn it into a joke. Yeah, looks like it. I feel out of place and embarrassed. I laughed it off. The awkwardness among the classmates seemed to dissipate as they laughed along, and I felt a bit relieved. But right after that, I couldn't believe my ears at what Oliver said.
But even if you knew about the dress code, Noah, you wouldn't have anything to wear, right? Everyone knows, right? This guy here works at that shabby diner. I went to eat there recently, and it's still as dirty and humble as ever. It's like that place is stuck in time, and it was so hard not to burst out laughing.
Upon hearing Oliver's words, the classmates burst into laughter as well. I had hoped that Oliver had changed his ways, but just like on the day we first met again, he continued to say things that felt like harassment. I couldn't understand what Oliver was thinking, as he seemed to change his attitude every time we met. I took my seat as I was directed, but Oliver's behavior bothered me, and I couldn't fully enjoy reconnecting with my classmates. Additionally, there was something odd about the atmosphere among my classmates. It felt as if they were carefully watching Oliver's mood, as if trying to please him. Although I didn't attend high school, I realized that everyone present today had entered the same high school as Oliver. As I pondered if something had happened during their high school years, a classmate named Garcia approached me and said, "Hey, Noah, long time no see." Since the other classmates were always around Oliver, I mustered the courage to ask Garcia, "Hey, don't you think Oliver and those guys are acting strange? Did something happen in high school?" I asked Garcia. Garcia responded, "I wasn't close with them since I was in a different class, but around the middle of our first year of high school, Oliver's father became the chairman of the board, and Oliver's attitude suddenly became arrogant. Since it's a prestigious school and everyone is concerned about their future paths, they didn't want to be on Oliver's bad side and cause trouble. That's why everyone acts that way. Even though we've already graduated from high school, the hierarchical relationships that were established back then are still frightening." I see. Finally, I understood the reason behind Oliver's inflated attitude and the behavior of those around him, thanks to Garcia's explanation. However, I still couldn't quite understand why he directed such hostility towards me. The drinking party continued smoothly, and I mostly talked with Garcia. As we reached the end of the gathering, Oliver approached me.
How is it? Having fun?
He asked. "Well, yeah, it's enjoyable," I replied, concealing my mixed feelings. Then Oliver said,
That's good to hear. I was worried that Noah, who only has those poor-looking meals every day, wouldn't appreciate the cuisine in such an expensive restaurant. I was genuinely surprised that we share the same taste.
He said that with a smile. Of course, Oliver's statement was met with uproarious laughter from our classmates as he said it in a significantly loud voice. "What's your intention? Do you want to harass me?" I asked, to which Oliver responded with a smile.
So you noticed. Quite impressive for someone with a dim-witted high school dropout brain.
I was astonished. It seemed like Oliver had an endless repertoire of words to belittle others, calling them poor or high school dropouts. What grudge do you have against me? It's been almost 10 years since we last met. I couldn't accept it and decided to ask Oliver directly.
Well, you had always looked down on me during middle school. You were probably intoxicated with your own kindness, looking down on me, the small and quiet guy. I understand everything. It bothered me how you, who couldn't even afford to go to high school, acted superior towards me.
Oliver whispered, his words only audible to me. What are you talking about? I never looked down on you during middle school, nor do I look down on you now. In fact, I have never looked down on anyone, I replied. The truth was, I had never belittled Oliver or anyone else, neither in middle school or in the present. However, no matter how much I tried to explain, Oliver would never understand.
You see, that's how you always looked at me with pity from the beginning. Because I was poor and had no mother. You found solace in looking down on me, thinking it would make you feel better about being born into a lousy family. You're truly pathetic. Just looking at your face makes me sick.
He continued, heating up with each word. During that time, I genuinely considered Oliver as a true friend. But even back then, he saw me in that light. It's been many years since then, but it still hurts to hear.
That's why I brought you to this upscale restaurant today, to embarrass you. But you're acting like you're having fun. You really are a fool. Can't you read the room? You bring the stench of poverty with you, so just leave now.
Oliver said. Finally, I snapped back to reality. I had come here looking forward to seeing my classmates after such a long time, but from the beginning, I was not welcome. I was taken aback by how much Oliver and my classmates had changed, but the truth was, it wasn't them who had changed. It was me who hadn't changed. I understand. Sorry for getting in the way, I said, realizing that there was no reason for me to be here any longer. With my belongings in hand, I quietly decided to leave.
Oh, look at that obedience. That's the spirit of a loser. If someone as poor looking as you walks around, it would be a nuisance to the restaurant. So you better sneak out quietly.
Oliver said, laughing as the classmates rallied around him. As I was about to leave the private room, someone spoke up.
Since it is causing inconvenience to other guests, could you please stop this?
The voice belonged to the reception manager of this upscale restaurant. Oliver seemed momentarily surprised, but quickly resumed his laughter and said,
See, even they think customers like you are a nuisance. Just leave already.
However, the reception manager immediately corrected him, saying,
Is there a misunderstanding? It is actually you who are causing inconvenience. Your offensive remarks are disturbing the mood of our valued regular customers. We cannot silently tolerate it any longer. Regular customers, are they in the neighboring private room or something? They can't hear us.
Oliver responded. The reception manager clarified.
No, I am referring to Noah here, who is trying to leave this room because he was hurt by your vulgar words. He works at a diner, and the owner, who happens to be here often, holds him in high regard. From a young age, right after graduating from middle school, Noah has earnestly devoted himself to cooking. He is truly an admirable young man. While you rely on your parents' money to attend school, he works hard with sweat and toil. Instead of mocking him for being poor, it is something worthy of respect. You seem quite confident in your own academic background, but it seems your linguistic skills are not as impressive as you think, considering you couldn't even grasp the context of the conversation.
That's what the reception manager said. Indeed, as the reception manager had said, I was often brought to this restaurant, favored by the owner. Not only did I enjoy the delicious food, but the owner also treated me to learn about hospitality from this splendid establishment. So, I was familiar with the reception manager, but I never expected them to speak up for me to this extent.
What are you, speaking to a customer like that? I won't ever come back.
Oliver, feeling offended, confronted the reception manager. However, the reception manager remained unfazed and calmly responded,
That's perfectly fine. People with such low levels of decency are more than welcome to leave from our side as well.
Afterward, Oliver left the restaurant with a frustrated expression, followed by the other classmates except for Garcia. Reception manager, thank you so much. I expressed my gratitude, and the reception manager smiled and replied,
It's no problem at all. I couldn't bear to see a diligent young man like you lose yourself due to thoughtless words. You are firmly treading the path you have chosen. No matter what others say, there is no need to feel ashamed. Please remember that.
Those words resonate deeply within my heart, warmer and more profound than any words I had ever heard from others. I have always tried my best to forge my own path in life. However, there were moments when I felt inferior due to coming from a single-parent household and working with only a middle school education. Thanks to the reception manager, I realized that I didn't need to dwell on such farts. From now on, I believe I can continue walking toward my goals, unwavering in the path I have chosen, with the reception manager's words engraved deeply, deeply in my heart.